My name is Jessica, and I am from Chicago, USA. Traveling solo had always been my passion, and Kenya was next on my list. The moment I landed at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, the warm African breeze welcomed me. Nairobi, a city of contrasts, was a mix of towering skyscrapers, bustling markets, and wild nature reserves. After checking into a boutique hotel in the city center, I decided to explore. The streets were alive with people selling fresh fruits, hand-woven fabrics, and jewelry. I stopped at a small cafe and tried nyama choma, Kenya's famous grilled meat, served with a side of ugali. It was delicious. As the sun set, I returned to my hotel, exhausted but excited for the adventures ahead. From my window, I could see the city's lights flickering in the distance. Kenya felt alive, and I couldn't wait to explore its beauty. The next morning, I joined a safari tour to Nairobi National Park. Just outside the city, it was surreal to see lions, giraffes, and zebras roaming freely with the skyline of Nairobi in the background. The guide explained how the park was unique. It was the only wildlife park located near a major city. As our jeep moved through the dusty trails, I saw a family of elephants crossing the road. Their massive size and calm presence left me speechless. A lioness rested under a tree, watching us lazily. It was my first time seeing wild animals up close, and it was thrilling. After the safari, I visited the David Sheldrick Wildlife Trust, a sanctuary for orphaned baby elephants. Watching them play in the mud and drink milk from giant bottles melted my heart. Kenya was already proving to be unforgettable. That afternoon, I visited Giraffe Manor, a famous boutique hotel where giraffes roam freely. Though I wasn't staying there, I booked a giraffe feeding session. The long-necked beauties leaned over the balcony, gently taking food from my hands. One even gave me a giraffe kiss by licking my cheek. Afterwards, I explored the Karen Blixen Museum, the former home of the famous Danish writer who lived in Kenya. The colonial-style house was beautiful, surrounded by lush gardens and scenic views. Her stories about Africa had inspired me to visit, and standing in her home felt surreal. That evening, I returned to my hotel and enjoyed a quiet dinner at the rooftop restaurant. As I sipped my wine, watching the city lights, I felt safe and happy. But little did I know, my peaceful trip was about to take a terrifying turn. It was past midnight when I heard a faint knock at my door. Half asleep, I ignored it, thinking it was just someone passing by. But then, I heard whispers and the sound of the handle moving. My heart pounded. I sat up in bed, my breath shaky. Suddenly, the door creaked open. 3 men stepped inside, their faces partly covered. My stomach twisted in fear. "Who are you? Get out!" I shouted, grabbing my phone. One of them grinned, taking a step closer. Before they could move further, I pressed the panic button on the hotel phone and dialed 911. "Security is coming," I yelled. The men hesitated, exchanged looks, and then bolted out of the room. My hands trembled as I locked the door and pushed a chair against it. A few minutes later, the police arrived. The hotel manager and security guards rushed to my room as the police officers started questioning me. My voice was still shaky as I explained what had happened. They forced the door open. There were 3 of them, I said. The police officers checked the security cameras. The footage showed the 3 men lurking in the hallway earlier that night. "They must have been watching your movements," one officer said. That thought made my stomach twist. They had planned this. The police launched an investigation, and the hotel tightened security. I couldn't sleep that night, replaying the moment over and over in my head. I had traveled alone many times before, but this was the first time I had truly felt afraid. The next morning, I debated whether I should cut my trip short. But deep down, I knew I didn't want fear to ruin my adventure. The hotel manager apologized repeatedly, offering me a free upgrade to a suite with 24/7 security. I spent the day at Karura Forest, a peaceful escape from the city. The fresh air and quiet surroundings helped me clear my mind. I walked past waterfalls, caves, and cycling paths, letting nature heal my shaking nerves. Later, I visited the Kazuri beads factory, where local women handcrafted beautiful beads and pottery. Their stories of resilience and strength reminded me that I, too, was strong. I refused to let fear control my journey, determined to enjoy the rest of my trip. I took a flight to Maasai Mara, one of Africa's most famous safari destinations. The vast golden plains stretched endlessly before me, dotted with acacia trees and wild animals. As my jeep drove through the reserve, I saw a cheetah sprinting across the grasslands, zebras grazing, and a herd of elephants bathing in the river. My guide, a Maasai warrior, shared stories about his people's deep connection with the land. That evening, I stayed in a luxury tented camp, falling asleep to the sounds of lions roaring in the distance. Under the starlit African sky, I finally felt at peace again. The next day, I visited a Maasai village, where the locals greeted me with traditional dances. The Maasai women showed me how to make beaded jewelry, and I even tried on their famous red shuka cloak. One of the elders shared stories about their nomadic lifestyle and how they coexisted with wild animals. "The land gives to us, and we respect it," he said. Their wisdom and way of life fascinated me. Before leaving, I bought a handmade bracelet, a symbol of strength and resilience. It felt meaningful after everything I had been through on this trip. Wanting to end my journey on a relaxing note, I traveled to Mombasa, Kenya's coastal city. The white sandy beaches of Diani Beach were breathtaking. I dipped my toes in the warm Indian Ocean, feeling my worries wash away. I explored Fort Jesus, a centuries-old fortress with a dark history of battles and colonization. Walking through its tunnels, I imagined the stories hidden in its stone walls. That evening, I enjoyed fresh seafood by the beach, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. Kenya, despite the terrifying experience, had stolen my heart. As I packed my bags, I reflected on my journey. Kenya had been beautiful, wild, and full of surprises. The attack at my hotel had been terrifying, but it had also taught me to be stronger and more cautious. At the airport, I looked at the souvenirs I had collected: the Maasai bracelet, handmade beads, and a carved elephant figurine. They reminded me of the incredible people I had met and the adventures I had lived. As my plane took off, I smiled. I had come to Kenya as a tourist, but I was leaving with a lifetime of memories, some scary, some magical, but all unforgettable.